So once we found out that there were other baby Ruths out there, we had to figure out a way to get to South Texas. So once we found out through the wisdom panel that there were other baby Ruths out there, and that baby Ruth had a whole family and a pack of dogs that she rolled with every day to Mexico and back.
Mom and dad.
Mom and dad. Mm-hmm. We had to figure out a way to get to South Texas. And if Texas is huge, guys.
Well, it also,
you can drive in any direction for 10 hours and still be in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, both of us desperately wanted to go. We tried to get Temp Fosters, but we didn't have any luck getting enough.
Yeah,
so
we did have a few. Thank you for those that did want to help, but we didn't have enough dogs. I mean,
we have 30 dogs here, and it's hard for both of us to get away. So I packed up. Steph braved the reality of being here with like 34 dogs on her own.
It's actually really funny.
For 24 hours.
Becca was like, "Oh, Duke's doing that drive by himself. That's so sad. I was like, he has 8 hours of silence there and 8 hours of silence on the way back. Don't feel bad for Duke. Feel bad for me."
9 hours.
Yeah, it was a rough drive. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm proud of that drive.
You did.
Yeah, that's 18 hours straight. It's a record. Yeah, so it was 18 hours round trip for me. So I headed out super early, or tried to head out early.
Yeah, it was early for Duke.
And then, I mean, even before getting into South Texas, you guys will see I already found a dog like 4 hours in.
Yeah, didn't even make it past Austin.
What are you doing? What are you doing, good boy? What happened?
Yeah, I was joking that somebody for sure recorded me and is going to post some video about how I dumped a pity. Because I get out of my car to start fueling up, and this dude comes right up, like tail wagging, sniffing me like he knows me. I'm like, hey, and I'm like petting him, and I
follows you into the
walk
store.
Around. I'm like, oh my, whose dog is this? So I walk up to a food truck. I'm like, do you guys recognize this dog? And they're like, oh, I've seen him, but he's not mine. I'm asking cars around there. I walk inside of the gas station. He follows me inside of the gas station, and I'm asking the checkout guy, like, do you know whose dog this is? And he goes, oh yeah, he lives a few houses down. He comes here every morning.
He's like, I smell the sucker on this guy.
And I was like,
he'll take me home.
Yeah. So I'm in a rush, but I was like, okay, if I can get this kid loaded up, I can go talk to the owner. Like, you're on a busy freeway.
Yeah.
Probably not the best idea. And he's probably going to tell me to go kick rocks, but anyway, I walk back to my car. He follows me, but won't get into the car. He's smart enough to not get in the car with me.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. But yeah, I was joking. Somebody for sure recorded me as like, look at this guy, like leaving this poor dog.
Just drove off as the dog stared at him.
It's like, damn it. But sweet dog. Anyway, so I mean, kind of an interesting 9-hour drive in, because about 7.5 hours in, 2 hours out,
yep,
my nav goes haywire. My car is basically like, this white dude has no business going to Mexico.
Too close to Mexico, too close, turn
Literally,
around.
my nav completely spazzed out on my phone, on the car. It had me, Steph tried to look up my location, and it said I was out in a river.
Okay, well,
driving.
And let me tell you guys this. It is one freeway all the way down to South Texas.
I'm also not good at directions. I don't know.
And Duke is not good at directions. No. And literally my stress started to go through the roof. I'm looking at the map and I'm like, babe, just stay on the 77 the whole way. Just keep on going south. And he's like, well, I'm at this crossroad. I was like, I just keep on going south. And I literally was looking at his location, and I knew he was just like, it was just placing him on a field or down a river somewhere. So I just kept on watching the map. He was still heading south. So I said, let's touch base in 30 minutes. I'll look at the map again. He was still headed in the right direction. Yep. So that's basically what I had to do, is just like tell him which direction to go for the last 2 hours.
While she's rotating dogs and taking care of horses.
Yeah. Well, and then the part that makes me nervous, because even when we lived in Southern California, I've crossed over to the border. I've gone to TJ when you're teenagers. That's what you do, right? But there's like literally a few signs before getting to Mexico where it says, hey, you're about to go to the border, welcome to Mexico, or a few warning signs. I was like, if he's not paying attention, he's going to end up in Mexico.
Firearms, concealed carry not allowed. We will detain you.
Well, you want to tell him that you almost missed the exit?
Bullets. Yeah. So this place is literally right on the border. I had 300 feet to make a left turn, and I was trying to find the left turn. But I was also nervous because I'm looking around at border inspection and all these signs that are saying you're going to be detained and no firearms. And
So
Yeah.
he's reading
I was
signs,
like 300
missing
feet
his
away
exit.
from missing my turn. I had to yeet over and make that last left. But South Texas, true to form, I saw like 7 stray dogs, 3 dead dogs just on the last like 3 minutes driving up to this property.
Yeah.
Everywhere, guys. Like it is absolutely brutal. But I pull in. I was a little bit ahead of Becca and Dee and Shannon, the Coast Guard officer. So I get there and I immediately see not Ruth's mom, but it would be Rio's mom. Ruth's mom and dad are both out there. They're 2 black dogs. And then the half sibling part comes in with Rio's mom, who looked, when I was looking at her, like she just had a litter of puppies. So I spent about 20 minutes kind of feeling her out. And what I'm doing, you guys will see with the food, I'm just trying to close the gap a little bit and see how comfortable she is getting close to me. And it became very apparent really early on when I have high value food like that, that these dogs are going to be brutal to try and get. Because it's a big open area, you're right next to a busy road.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be an uphill battle right off the bat. Sedating dogs is not an option in that situation because obviously it could take a while. And then you have dogs that are sedated trying to cross a busy road or hop back over to Mexico, just not the play.
And like we said, there's no animal control out there. So it's not like you can call someone to, because there are places out here where they will dart dogs.
Yeah.
Because it's for the safety of the dog. They're crossing busy roads or they're getting into farmland where people, unfortunately, are going to protect their livestock. And so it's for the dog's own good, but they don't have an animal control to do that.
No, there's nothing out there. Yeah. So Becca and Dee show up, Shannon shows up, and I kind of get a game plan in place with them. One of the dogs, the youngest, or one of the younger siblings, half of the siblings, they were able to get in kind of a big chicken coop area. The problem that the property owner is having is that there's a spot that's not secure, and the other dogs can get in there with food at night, but then they get out.
They can hop right over.
They can hop right over. One of the siblings can't. So we had her contained. I spent a couple hours there with Becca and Dee from Yaki's Rescue. Again, just seeing how close we can get to any of these dogs.
Yeah.
And as you guys can see from the videos, it was brutal. These are extremely feral dogs that do not understand humans at all.
And this would be, this
good.
would be an easier project if this was down the street. But again, this is 9 hours away.
Well, and
it's trusting other people that could help us, but also, people that understand dogs. Thankfully, Becca and Dee are great with that. You have to be savvy. It's not just like a person that's going to go catch a stray dog, because that's not what it is.
No.
But also realizing that this is dangerous work. These dogs are not vetted. These dogs are not vaccinated. These dogs have never been touched by a human. They're going to react a certain way. And Becca and Dee were like, dude, we've gotten bit so many times, we're fine. But that's the reality of it. We're asking friends to put themselves in situations that,
we know these two. I wouldn't ask anyone else.
We wouldn't ask random people, but they're in rescue and they get it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get to that, the game plan later. But, it's starting to get dark, and I'm taking one more shot at the other mom out there who's pregnant, because she's immediately kind of top priority.
Yeah.
And I get her to the point, I probably could have jumped and closed that crate on her. But as I'm looking at her real close, confirmed she for sure just had a litter and has puppies. Can't take her and leave the puppies. We have to find the puppies and make sure we get all of them, or those puppies are dead. Yeah. So let her go. The rest of the dogs were not getting anywhere close to us that day. Like Steph said, we've done this a few times with, some stray borderline feral dogs in the Dallas area, but dogs in a city are a little bit different. They're a little more acclimated to human. They've had more interactions with humans, usually getting fed, so it's fairly positive.
Right.
They might be scared, but they'll come up pretty close enough at least for you to make a move. These dogs have never gone up to a human. They want nothing to do with it. And, if anything, being on the border from what we've seen, they've probably had really shitty experiences with most humans.
Yeah.
So with the mama, we were talking to Becca and Dee, They're going to be going out on the weekend and trying to find where the puppies are. The property owner actually said, because he's dealt with this for a while, that the moms will usually keep their puppies over there.
Across the street.
And they'll start to bring them over as they get older. So kind of feeling that out. He also mentioned, he's been dealing with this a long time living out there, that these dogs don't live long.
Yeah.
Obviously in South Texas, in that environment, off that road with all of the disease and everything going on out there, we are working against the clock a little bit. He said these dogs don't make it very long. Like he's had pack after pack after pack, and he either finds them dead at some point or they stop showing up and he assumes they die. And dogs that are being fed out there are not just stopping to show up. So we are working against the clock a little bit. Typically with a pack like this, we kind of have a hierarchy that we want to pull rescue dogs in this order to make sure we don't throw things off too much. After talking with Becca and Dee, who have been doing this for a long time in South Texas, they said what we kind of figured, you have to take what you can get. So at this point, the plan was, okay, like we get what we can and we keep trying until we get the whole family out. So this first trip we had one of Ruth's siblings, who we've now named Rain. We had her secure, half siblings. Yep. So we were able to corral her in there, and then we were able to kind of close her off, corner her to where she was running into the crate. Yep. We loaded her up into the car, and then past sunset at this point, I wanted to take one more shot at two of the other siblings because one of them was limping. I don't know if he just got clipped by a car, but he was kind of second priority. But Border Patrol had definitely had it with us.
It's not the safest area.
And I understand Border Patrol has a job to do. You're out on the border past dark and you're trying to catch dogs. Like, I get it. They're doing their job.
Right.
But it got to the point one of them did roll up and hit us with his lights, and he knew Shannon, actually, thankfully. But he was, like, yo, you guys need to get out of here now. Like, we're done with this. And again, that's not a knock on Border Patrol. Like, you have a bunch of people out there past dark on the border trying to catch dogs. Like, they need to do what they need to do. So yeah, we were past our point, of trying to do this, and we had one sibling, and we had already agreed at that point we have to take what we can get. So loaded her up, and I started the 8-hour drive back.
I told this man, you are only to do this drive by yourself if you stop and take a nap somewhere.
Yes, I have a reason, and that plays into, again, these being very feral dogs. In a perfect world, I think if I had been able, that's another reason, get two siblings, she might have been a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
This might sound weird. I don't think most people have had this experience. While I was in Oregon as a kid, and there was a deer at one point when I was a kid that I touched.
No, yeah, you told me.
Trying to explain like feral animals. And it was a really sweet deer. Like, it was just a deer. It was chill, and then I touched her. And it was like this shrieking paralysis shock, like she could not process human touch at all. Like, mouth went wide open, took off, and never came back. She didn't like it anymore.
I'm surprised she didn't kick you.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of you.
But I want to. But dealing with an animal like this, Rain, that was the look on her face for like 3 hours. So I was not stopping because, I knew what it was, but I was like, she's gonna have a heart attack in this car if I don't figure something out. She was leaned up against the crate, mouth open, like just full blown frozen. I felt awful.
Yeah.
Again, though, I've talked with the property owner because, I know some people like, hey, maybe just, let them stay out there. Like, these dogs are going to die out there.
Yeah.
Not just because of Ruth getting Chagas disease, but just, again, with the environment out there, the traffic, the disease, what we see, and confirm with the property owner, like, if we wait and just let these dogs stay, they're going to die a terrible death. Yeah. And we are committed to rescuing Ruth's family. So,
well, and it might just be creating a different space here for them, because it's different from the dogs that we rescue out of shelters or dogs that we find on the side of the road here because they belong to someone at some point. Mm-hmm. But taking in a pack of dogs that are completely feral means we have to create a space for them. So, not being able to catch all 7 all at once is kind of a blessing in disguise, because we have one, and we're now seeing, what it's going to take to rehabilitate her.
We'll get to that further episodes, but it's going to be a process. It's
require a different type of space for them, I think. Yes. So it's something that we're also chatting about.
Yeah. So load her up, finished the drive. And yeah, I was definitely wonky getting home, but
Girl, it's okay. It's okay. Come here.
So Dad gave me a ham and cheese sandwich.
Yeah? Did you finally eat it?
She did,
That's very good.
It took a
Do
while.
Tickies?
but she ate it.
Are those tickies on your face?
Probably.
No.
She's actually very thin.
Sweet girl.
I showed up at 6
6
a.m. So it was basically
Right back
steps an
to
hour.
it.
And so
Yeah.
it was right back in the full blown rotate, like caring for all these dogs, getting her sister situated. We have yard 3,
Yeah.
a big 10 by 10 kennel. And we set her up in there. She's obviously much more comfortable out there. And
Yeah.
it's also the benefit that she can kind of watch us
Handle other
other dogs and interact. And with a dog like this, again, this early on, our phase 1 is just sharing space.
We have the crate open so she can come out. So leashing her at this point is going to do more harm than good and stress her out because these are extremely feral dogs. Obviously never been on leash. So, I mean, kind of the same plan. Same thing we did with Simba. Just going to hang out in here and just let her work at her own pace, get comfortable, come out when she wants to come out. And our focus is sharing space and just letting her work slow.
That's priority number 1. We are not trying to touch her.
Yep.
We're not trying to love on her and coddle her, even though you want to, I know. But the game plan, immediately was, hey, like, we're going to go sit out there. Like when we have a few minutes, we're going to sit outside the kennel. Then we're going to move inside the kennel. And it's just as we're walking by, throwing her treats, setting treats around us if we're seated in there.
Yeah.
So she can get comfortable coming up and taking
Moving.
treats and moving around us freely without us moving.
Yeah.
So I just want to scatter the treats around me so that she starts to feel comfortable just moving around me. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, even that though, that is not her coming in for pets. That's her coming in because I typically have treats in my hand. But it's good, we're starting to associate hand movement with treats. So she's starting to get comfortable, but not a situation here where I would extend and try and pet her. Yeah, good girl.
With a dog like that, if she comes up, if I set a treat here by my, knee, and she comes up and takes it, and I go to pet her, she's going to freak out, and we're going to lose that progress.
Right. It's
So-
actually kind of cute now. Whenever we walk outside to go to the kennels to feed or to do anything, she'll get up and walk towards the kennel door, even though she doesn't want us to touch her yet. It's almost
Yeah.
like, oh, they've come to gift me something.
Well, and that's
so it's that
what it
positive
is.
association
Yep.
with us walking through those doors and her seeing us and not reclusing, going back into the doghouse or lying underneath her cot, which she did a lot of
Yeah.
the first few days. So there is progress. It's just a little slow. And like Duke said, we've never had a dog this feral before. So
No.
it's also a learning curve for us. We're
Yeah.
learning with her and she's being patient with us. So
This might be an 8-10 month
yeah,
process. I'm
this
really
might
not
be an
sure.
8 or 10 month series.
And we did think too, introducing Bucky might help. It did not.
Yeah. You got a friend? Just hoping maybe meet another pup makes her a little bit more comfortable. What do you think, Mom? Bucky really is the best dog. Bucky also now sharing space with the new kiddo. You know the drill, huh? Textbook Bucky. Good job. You can go say hi, Mom.
No.
But that's still a card we can play. She wasn't a huge fan of Bucky. I do think if we can get to the point we can get her used to the leash, you know, and build that association like we are with ourselves with a leash, and we can get her in a bigger space like the yard. At that point, you know, maybe having other dogs around will help. Obviously, feral dogs, stray dogs are going to be a lot more comfortable with other dogs. But to this point, obviously, leash is not an option.
No.
No.
Think of a cat on a leash.
Yeah.
That's how she would act.
Yeah. So we did end up getting her settled, and the journey starts.
So first official night with us, we are going to let her sleep outside in yard 3. In order to get her inside, we're going to have to corner her to get her inside a crate, and then carrying the crate inside, which is just going to stress her out. It's 70 and clear out. We got a little cot set up for her if she wants to go in there. But it's going to be a lot of just sharing space, having positive interactions, using treats, and not forcing anything, not trying to pet her, just slow and steady.
Yeah.
Little pool has dirt in it. See, Rosie's been laying in it. Little legs are all wet.
Yeah. The swimming. The rest of the game plan, we've been, again, just knocking out a lot of the vlogs for you guys, and it's going to be a very long and probably a little bit boring of a process.
No, don't say that. We're entertaining.
Getting them, you know, acclimated up to the point of us shooting this video.
Yeah.
We have rain. We sent like Tractor Supply kennels and fencing to the property owner, and he is currently securing that fencing. So the plan is for him to secure the fencing, and then as those dogs come in, Becca and Dee are going to go set traps inside, because I think the older dogs are going to be much more hesitant to go into a crate for food. Yeah. So the plan is, you know, secure that fencing, step number 1, and then step number 2, Becca and Dee going out, finding out exactly where the puppies are, and making sure they can get the puppies and that mom before, you know, we trap dogs inside of that enclosed area. As we trap the family members, Becca and Dee will pick them up, and we will get them transported out to us or meet them halfway. We'll figure something out. Yep. So that's the game plan going forward, and I think that's
say a prayer for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you guys know 99% of the dogs we rescue are critical of the shelter.
Yeah.
It's not a rational thing for us to be rescuing dogs from South Texas, because it's, you know, it's endless and we're 9 hours away.
Right.
But for Ruth's family, we want to do everything we can to get them out and give them a shot. So
well, and
I guess this is intro episode 1.
Yeah. I think also, you know, we have rescued a few dogs from South Texas. Mm-hmm. And if we can make just a small dent, you know, out of the 8 dogs in this pack, 6 of them are female. That means all 6 of those females are susceptible to having a litter.
Yeah.
And well, in that litter, how many females are there going to be? And those I mean, we're talking about literally by taking the pack of dogs that we are, you know, hoping to rescue.
You're saving 60 to 120 dogs.
More.
Yeah.
Like literally thousands of dogs just by removing that pack of dogs and getting them fixed.
I just meant directly.
Well, yeah, directly.
Because the property owner said too, also, like, that's how it works with the female dogs out there in the packs he's been taking care of.
Yeah.
He said they have a litter, and then they have another litter.
Yep.
And then they have another litter, and then they stop showing up. Like, it's just an endless cycle. So yeah, by getting the females out of there, getting Ruth's mom out of there, you know, we're going to be able to help a lot of dogs and hopefully raise some awareness around what's going on in South Texas. But
we're excited. We're excited to do this. We're excited to share it with you guys.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.